All right, everybody, welcome back to On Cycle. As always, I am Michael.
I'm Robbie.
All right, and we're here today to kind of maybe celebrate a little bit. Episode 5. It's a weird thing to celebrate, but I'm pretty excited about it, right? Last week we had Connor on, we had our first guest on. That was really fun. So much great interaction with the public so far, which I think is one of those great things to kind of recognize. I think it's important that we say, hey, everybody, thanks for commenting. Thanks for sending us information. I actually wrote down a couple of things, like some shout outs to people that have been just interacting with us and giving us some feedback. You know, some of our older episodes, we asked about the Madison Scouts thing. Like the 20 tubas, what year was it?
Yes.
Jack wrote in, Jack Hopi, our boy Jack came. It's like, it's 2010 and 2011. 10 was
2 years.
Well, the 2010 year is the year that they had 20 tubas, and they did like a bookend kind of show in 10 and 11.
Gotcha.
So thanks, Jack, for that. Appreciate that. The West Side Story one is my favorite one. Keo, if you're listening, my man, because I know he is. He's driving on his way up to practice right now on Friday. If you're listening. For those of you who tuned into one of our other episodes, we asked how many drum corps did West Side Story or a version of West Side Story in their show. Randomly in the middle of the day, I get a message from Keo, and it's just this gigantic long message. And it's 137 different drum corps have done some song from West Side Story in their repertoire over the last 60, 70 years.
And that's not even like 137 instances of doing West Side Story. It's 137 drum corps.
Drum corps,
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The list just you just keep scrolling through it. It's basically listing every drum corps ever in alphabetical order by that point.
Exactly. There's so many different ones, and there's a breakdown of like how many times, and then he sends me a breakdown of how many times each one of those songs were referenced throughout the years of doing that too.
Yeah.
So
I think the top ones had like 70 to 80
it was like 62,
instances
70,
of people doing particularly the most popular songs from there.
Exactly.
Crazy.
So that stuff we love, right? Keep sending us your feedback. Keep giving us your stuff.
When we make a call to get in the comments and or send us a message or anything like that, right? We're not joking, right? We want to hear from everyone, right? We want this to be a conversation of sorts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we, despite our many years and our maybe our claims otherwise every once in a while, we don't know everything about drum corps. So more information, more interaction from all of you lovely people in the audience.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is a good segue. I love segues, right? Into talking about what we're trying to do still for this podcast.
Yeah, a little reminder, right? Because we didn't talk about much in the last 3 episodes.
No, I don't think we need to bring it up every time, but I do think it's important.
I think that would be gratuitous.
Yeah, right. It's a little aggressive, maybe. Yeah. But I do think it's important to remind maybe newer viewers, maybe if you're watching this for the very first time, our idea for On Cycle is twofold. It's one, this gives us an opportunity and a platform to kind of talk to everybody out there about drum corps and the things that we love, and give you guys a voice to kind of interact with the public with us as well too. But our hope is that enough people enjoy us that we can monetize through YouTube, through other different resources. We're on Spotify right now. If you didn't know that, you can find us out there, and eventually start maybe earning a little bit of money from it. And then and you hear it I'll say it every single time, and I'm probably post up something to prove it too, because I like when people do that. 50% of everything we earn, we're going to generate scholarships for and give back to tour fees for specific people. They're not going to go to drum corps specifically, because unless we start making billions of dollars, and in which case I'll fund every drum corps on the planet. But we want to give scholarships out to you, the viewing listeners. People who have been with us since the beginning, or people who just found us later on. Come the 2025 season, our hope is that we have earned enough money that we can maybe give one member a full ride scholarship to the drum corps of their dreams, or maybe split it up over a couple different drum corps. We're going to have not a contest, because it's not the right way, maybe like an essay or
some kind of scholarship. An application process, basically.
Application, right?
Don't know what that's going to look like, but lots of people have done it over the years, right? And we would love to chip our portion in.
Yeah, drum corps is getting expensive, and if we can give back, and we want to give back, if that's the way we can do it, that's what we want to do. And the simplest way for you, again, the viewing public out there, to do it is to just keep coming back and watching. We hope that you're enjoying what you're watching. It'd be great if you just want to throw it on in the background and not listen to Robbie and I speak, because I get it, but if you like what we're saying, this is great. Come back and watch. The other thing you can do too is click the subscribe button. Make sure you like everything you're finding out there, and more importantly, send it to your friends, right?
Yeah.
We right now, as of right now, we're just over 200 subscribers. That's amazing, right? That's way far exceeds my expectation after 4 episodes only, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if every single one of you out there subscribe to us, sends us over to another person, that becomes 400 really quick.
Yeah.
Right.
If you send this out to 5 of your friends, and then those 5 friends send out to 5 more friends, it just
seems very,
it makes this sort of triangular shape that just pays dividends.
Right. It's like a pyramid, like
A
almost
pyramid
shaped.
of success.
Right. I would say we're kind of like Egyptians. And then that we're very pyramid oriented. No,
Yeah.
But that's the idea, right? If you like what we're talking about, send it to all your people. And right now our people out there listening to us is a lot of the DCA all age activity. Hey, all age activity people, hi. Send it out to your young kids out there that are going out for DCI cores, and have them forwarded around. We have a lot of great information, like what we're gonna talk about today.
The subject of today's episode.
That's right. The subject of today's episode.
Enough preamble.
Yeah, we're enough of that stuff. Now it's time to get to the good stuff, which is how to survive drum corps. Right? Robbie and I sat down and talked about it. How do we make it through a season? What's the best advice that we can come up to give newer members or people who have done this for a while? I think it's a healthy reminder to kind of figure out how to get through all those things.
Yeah. You see a lot of times. There's a reason that there's the term second year vet syndrome, right?
Yeah.
You come back, you manage to make it through one of your drum corps, and you're like, I can.
Yeah. You think you got it all figured out.
I can just coast through this, right? I can
Yeah.
figure this out. But I mean, heck, I'm learning new stuff every season. I'm sure you are still too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? You can always be a receptacle for more information and wisdom from all sorts of sources, new or old.
Yeah. And I think it changes, especially when we're talking about DCI all age.
It evolves, yeah.
As you get, not only the activity evolves, but you as a person evolve, just with your general health, your physical abilities. I'm 41 years old. My physical ability is not what it was when I was 16, 17 years old.
You got to do different stuff to take care of yourself.
You have to prepare yourself differently, right? So,
even, in the back half of the 20s, I'm feeling some of that.
Right, exactly. On all the years, they start to pile up.
As our good friend Tiago once put, while I was like massaging my knees once practice, he said, "You're going from spring chicken to regular chicken." Like, thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, the regular chicken phase, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations on getting old.
Yeah,
great. So here's our list, and I'm just gonna lay them all out.
We got
right now.
10 main categories.
10
we'll
main,
talk about.
Yeah,
10 tips for surviving drum corps.
Top 10 tips, right? So number one, I'm just going to go through the list right now, and then we're going to talk about them individually. All right.
Yep.
So number one is we're going to talk about physical preparation.
Right.
Number two, we're going to talk about skill preparation, from a music or an equipment kind of standpoint. The mental and emotional prep that you need to have for every season. Doing research, drum corps research is a fun little idea.
Yeah, studying up
a little bit on what you want to look like and be like. The gear, the equipment,
huge,
such a big part of it.
Especially huge for DCI, world class and open class.
Enormous, having the right stuff with you, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about relationships that you should be building and things you should be, focused on. The almighty P word, patience.
Yeah.
Yes. Patience. And then as we move more toward the idea of the mid-season, physical maintenance. Right, we talk about physical preparation before going on tour or before starting the season, but also maintaining throughout the year.
Yeah, super important.
The idea, and if you watched last week and we was here with Connor, the idea of that light switch mentality, right? Understanding how to turn it on and turn it off when necessary, so you can stay as fresh as possible. And then the last one I'm going to leave, that's a mystery one.
Oh yeah, our mystery 10th one, maybe the most important.
Maybe that you had to stick around if you want to watch the mystery 10th one. It's a doozy.
What comes next will shock you.
Yeah, you may go. So let's go all the way back to physical prep.
Yeah, such an important thing. We're doing this chronologically almost in terms of what you would prep for in a season.
I think so. Yeah, it's a good way to do it.
Physical prep. Drum corps is a super physical activity. It's only getting more and more physically demanding in a lot of different ways, right? So the question is, how do you prep? I would start like preseason, right?
Okay.
Preseason, heck, maybe even before auditions, right? Or at the very least, right, during winter camp season for DCI all age and open and world class.
Yeah, I think the prep for both is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
I think they're interchangeable because through DCI, world, it's once a month usually. So you have a lot of time in between camps.
Plenty of time.
And then DCI all ages every 2 weeks, usually, maybe 3 weeks, but there's time in between camps, right?
Yeah.
So you can't stress enough how important it is that small efforts lead to big successes,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's simple things like you can't, for those young kids out there, and for even some of you older guys out there, they're like, oh, I know what I'm doing. You can't wait till 2 days before a camp and then go, I'm going to go for a walk.
Yeah.
I'm going to hydrate myself this time, right? These are things that you have to think about.
Yeah.
A season of drum corps starts, the physical prep is 9 months, right? It's not just the tour section or the heavy section. You really have to decide if you're going to march this year and you're going to put efforts into what you're doing, you have to be dedicated to that process from day one.
Yeah.
Even before, I would even say before membership day, like having a healthy lifestyle is always important.
Yeah. And there's such a, I mean, I experienced the same thing. I was pretty fit when I did my 1 year of tour, but it was a similar thing. Like you said, you can't just show up a few weeks before. And I was a little bad about that. I saved a little bit until, a couple of weeks before I had to ship out for spring training.
Right.
I want to preface this and say it now. I get it. It's tough, especially if you're, in like a tough college program or anything like that. I think that was one of the big reasons for me, as I was way busier than I should have been.
Right.
I had way too much going on my first year of college, so it was tough to justify, prepping myself physically.
Right.
But even though I didn't do it perfectly, I was very helpful. I was very glad for the little bit of it that I did.
Sure.
Right. Like making it just a habit just to go to this, some dinky little college gym that was right next to, where my dorm was. But just going there like a couple times a week in the few weeks preceding spring training, even that little bit helps, right? Any little extra bit that you can do, right? Any marginal increase of like how earlier can you start is going to pay off.
Oh yeah.
Right? By the time that you got to hit the ground running.
There's two things I always tell people, and I spent 20 years in the Army, and helping people realize how much time they actually do have available to them to stay physically fit, and really the minimum amount of effort that you really you can put in to have such massive success. It's as simple as go on your phone or download one of those apps that says how much screen time you have. It'll blow your mind, right? Oh, I'm busy with classes. Oh, I have work, or I have all these other things too. Look at how much time you're spending sitting behind a screen, probably watching us. But
don't decrease that screen time.
I want to hold on to that.
That's clinically proven healthy screen time right there.
Yeah, this is research, which we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
But look at that time and go, oh, holy crap! If I even took half of that, I'd look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because it's just so much time, right? But okay, and then people are always like, well, I don't have money for the gym. That's okay. The ground is free, right?
Yeah.
Sit-ups and push-ups are the backbone of simple physical fitness. Do crunches, do planks, do those kind of things. It works every single muscle group you really need to really work, right?
Yeah, let's talk about some specific stuff to do.
Okay.
I like that because you mentioned the gym thing. Both of us love going to the gym and doing like weightlifting stuff, but like the truth is you don't, as you said, you don't need it.
No.
It's nice, it can be helpful, but like you don't need that to be successful in drum corps from a physical standpoint.
Absolutely.
First of all, one of the biggest things is just getting your like heart and lungs healthy and used to doing work. Right. Especially, if you're a brass player, but pretty much everyone's sprinting right around the field the whole time. Just getting those things used to sustained, difficult activity and high, loads of stress is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. Right. Some other, depending on what section you're in, you can, focus it in on some different specific muscle groups or exercises. But no matter what, getting out and walking long distances or running, right, and just getting that heart rate up and getting your cardio in is, that's the core of it. That's the thing that can benefit everyone the most.
You'd be surprised how much, from a heart rate standpoint and a cardio, doing planks will give you. Right, try to do a plank for a minute and a half.
Yeah,
right. It's a long plank, right, to sit there emotionally. Check your heart rate when you're done with it. You didn't run anywhere. You didn't do anything, but you know what you did? You put your heart rate up around 150, 140, because you're struggling to get that far, right? And it only took a minute out of your day. It builds strength in the shoulders. It's great for percussion, for carrying equipment. It's great for the horns, carry the horns. Guard.
Core strength is huge for horns. Right. If you're using your air right.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. All those things, and then I still think the key thing that matters is that you can do 100 sit-ups and 100 push-ups, which seems like a lot, right? But you can do that much in less than 5 minutes a day. That's all that it takes, right? So for all you kids out there, or even you older guys, and anybody out there listening to us who's lost weight to do this activity, it really is simple as 2 to 3 times a week, maybe 4 if you're good. Go for a mile walk, takes 15 minutes, and if you're walking hard, and then go do 50 push-ups and sit-ups. If you do that every single day for a month, you'll be in great shape.
Yeah.
You'll be perfect, and then the rest of tour will help you start to, as you slowly get into that, you'll be so much better and way more set up for success.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
and just, do your walks and your runs focus on breathing, especially if you're a brass player, right?
Yeah. All those things.
Deep breaths.
Nutrition, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to talk about that too. Listen, you've got to, I shouldn't be saying this to anybody because my nutrition's awful most of the time. I really get into it when I get into it, but I love fast food more than the average bear. Okay. And pizza and everything else. We're going to get cheesesteaks when we're done with this episode.
Yeah, we had some of the most unhealthy pizza of our lives the first time we finished our our initial recordings.
Right. Like it's okay to indulge occasionally, but trying to understand what you're putting in your body.
Yeah.
Especially before the season begins, like a little bit of nutrition and maybe a little bit of weight loss or weight gain, depending on who you are. You might be, a little underweight because you can't go into tour being underweight because you're going to lose weight on tour.
Yeah.
Right? And that's almost an unhealthy thing to be. Right.
Yeah. You're going to have long days ahead of you. You got to have something in reserve,
yeah,
in the tank.
Right. You got to be able to lose, 10 or 15 pounds, probably on the season. Right. So hydrating, drinking tons of water, stay away from soda, stay away from.
It's huge. Honestly, drinking water is one of the biggest. Yeah. Cutting out any drinks but water pretty much. And drinking a lot of water.
Yeah.
It's crazy how effective it is for just making your body healthy. It's like a cheat code. It's so easy. Just drink more water. It's free.
Yeah.
Like
every time I put on weight over the winter, because I always do, my very, very, very first thing when I go, okay, it's time to get back in shape. I don't do any exercise. I don't really change my diet at all. All I do is drink a gallon of water a day for 2 weeks, and I lose 6 pounds instantly.
Yeah.
Get
into the science of it. Like it just makes your body function healthier and better.
Yeah, it makes me feel better. It helps me sleep better. All those things, right?
It's super useful, and you're gonna want your body to be used to drinking a lot of water by the time you get to rehearsals or tour. Yeah,
because you can't hydrate on the day. You're hydrating the day before.
Right? Yeah,
always.
Right.
So that it's a good, nice little broad view of the physical because we're talking about prep.
Yeah, and I would throw in one more thing. Okay. If you mentioned good short exercises. If no one's ever heard of it, the people, if you're joining a drum corps this year, the people have probably talked about it. But if you're looking for a good way to stay healthy and a good way that's short and effective, look up high intensity interval training.
Oh, HIIT training.
Right? HIIT training. I wouldn't be surprised if almost every drum corps is recommending it these days. Right? It's short. You don't have to technically have equipment to do it. Right? It's really great at getting your heart rate up, which is super important.
That's the important.
And it'll train your full body that you kind of. You gotta use, especially with the way that choreography is going these days.
Yeah, stay flexible. Do yoga.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, do yoga. Do stretching. Right. High intensity interval training. You can find a really, really good circuit that will kick your ass.
Yeah,
and it will probably only take like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I do them all the time. I do core exercises. Like I can barely get through a 6 or 7 minute core workout most of the time. If I'm doing like a pre-programmed one where I'm following somebody, it's hard. It's really
tough.
And
it's really intense.
I have a great core. That's one of the things I focus on a lot. And.
Yeah,
I'm a little more rotund than I prefer to be, but
it's strong. It's strong under there. Yeah.
My best friend in high school used to say, he's like, I'm 180 pounds of rippling hard muscle. Problem is, I weigh 260.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good
good place to leave off for physical prep.
Physical prep, yeah. So as we go through, we don't want to make this episode 1,000 years long because I could talk forever about physical prep.
Yeah.
So moving on to number 2, skill prep.
Yep.
Okay. Big one, I would say, for the DCI world kids out there. Preparing yourself musically, preparing yourself, whatever your skill set is that you're going into drum corps with. Are you a dancer? Are you a weapons person? Are you a horn player? Are you a drummer? Front ensemble, whatever it is. Are you taking the time to understand the warm-up packets, to understand the exercises, to understand not just doing them, but understanding what they're for, right?
Yeah.
If you don't know why, you're doing rudiments as a drummer, you need to reach out to your instructor and go, hey, why are we doing these? I'm genuinely want to know why these are so important, because doing 8 on a hand is the most boring shit on the planet, right? but it's necessary, right?
Long tones are boring.
Long tones are boring,
but they're helpful.
But they're so necessary. And if you don't really truly understand what those things are from a musician standpoint, why do we do drop spins for an hour and a half to start out every block or whatever it is the guard's doing over there and doing all that stuff? If you don't understand why we're dancing, each of us, when you don't dance at all in the show, right? Like if you don't really truly understand this, and for you instructors out there, one of the things I want to say I hate, but I forget as an instructor, somebody teaches high school marching band.
It's easy to forget. Yeah.
It's hard to forget that the people you're talking to are newer and they don't know the things that you said last year. Right.
It's so hard to remember.
It's so hard to remember that you're not talking to the same kid that you talked to last year. And like, I already said this. Yeah, but you didn't say it to me. Right. Or I didn't say it to this particular person. I've said it for 15 years.
Or they weren't here that camp or something like that. Right.
Exactly. Or, reiterating that as an instructor and not getting frustrated by that, or understanding that, as part of your tuition that you're paying for is part of the tuition I'm paying for is to be educated. Yeah. Right. I'm 41 years old and I learn something new about being a brass player every single year. Right. And I feel like I'm a really proficient brass player at this point. Right. I could be better if I just practiced a little more often, as we talk about skill preparation. But but I believe I understand all the pieces of it. But there's always something new that I learn every year because there's some new study or whatever else that comes out. Right?
Or someone just brings in a new perspective, right? And just says something that you haven't thought of before. And you're, oh yeah. Like I think just this year, there's a confession.
True confessions.
I never been a big fan of mouthpiece buzzing, and I almost never do it when I'm practicing.
I don't either.
It's really bad, but I don't know. It's my practice routine. I don't like it that much. I do it when we're at camp, right? I do it. I follow along and try to do as well as I can. I was always of the mindset where I'm like, the horn's doing work for you, and if the idea is to get as little stress and effort as possible to make a good sound, I'm like, why would I not let the horn do the work for me? Right?
Exactly.
But even just like this year, year 8 of playing brass for me, in a drum corps season, about 10 years since I started playing brass for the first time, we just had our mill instructor, Dan, he just said, he's like, I think of, very simply, he just said, I think of buzzing as just overtraining, right? And I was like, oh, yeah. Haven't thought of it that way before, right? And just, that those kinds of new perspectives that people can bring, right?
Yeah.
So I would say one of the biggest things, I thought of this as you were talking, when you're doing your skill prep, right? If you're in a practice room or you're practicing some dance, if you've been given a dance routine or anything, right? Learning how to be critical and analytical of the stuff you're doing while you're practicing is, I think, one of the biggest benefits. Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Self-awareness and critique and analysis are so important during tour, because your instructors can't always catch everything that you're doing all the time and give you your own feedback. That practice time that you've got at home is the time to hone that own skill set, right? Listen to yourself, right? Heck, I'm really bad about doing this, but it's a great idea, right? Record yourself doing stuff.
I hate it, I know.
Every time we would we would record audition videos for Buccaneers this year, and I would watch it back and I went, oh, I'm doing this. I didn't even realize that I was doing this. Let me, get back in there and record that again. I didn't notice but now I've got this other perspective. I'm not in the moment. I can see it, from the outside, and I can fix stuff. Yeah. It's a super helpful tool, and we've all got the capacity to do it now because we've all got cell phones.
Yeah. Being humble in your process and, not just going through the motions of doing it. The motions help. Like they're there for a reason. But like you said, I always struggle. I struggled with that a lot. What you were saying about, mouthpiece buzzing, right? I struggled with those concepts a lot when I was younger because I was always taught by upper brass people, right?
Yeah.
My brass caption, it was always some trumpet player, right?
It always is.
Yes, it always is, right? And they'd be like, well, we got a mouthpiece buzz. I'm a tuba player. Like, it's like an impossible task to mouth. It's not impossible. Like, you can do it as a tuba player. It's a functional thing.
This is a very different experience.
It's so unnecessary for tuba players. It really, really is. And every tuba tech I've ever had is like, we don't need that shit. There's no point to that. But if you ask any high brass player, why are we doing all these sumo breaths? Why are we breathing so hard? Because as an upper brass player, you don't need that nearly as much.
I am never going to do a 2-count breath out in the show.
Exactly.
For tacit time breathing, for recovery breathing, sure.
Yes.
But for playing, I'm like, I literally my mellophone would explode.
Yeah, exactly.
I think one time we did have, I had a tech. We were right at the end of a show. This is like my first year on mellophone, so I was very loud and very edgy sounding because I was coming from low brass. I had a tech being like, they're like, you should be taking like 3 count air on the way out, and I was like, do you really want that from me? I will do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you really want it? He was like, okay, no, not you.
Right.
Not just that. Just means play loud, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I know exactly what you mean, right? It's
as a tuba player, we have breathe beats, right? And it was
you have to like every measure if you're playing loud.
Every measure you're breathing onto, right? And there's 12 tuba players.
Hell, even on baritone, third bar, you get pretty close to that.
You get tanked out, right, pretty quickly unless you're a freaking champion, right? So there's different skill sets for different instruments, even within their own mini sections, right? The bass drums are a very different technique style than the snare drums.
Yeah.
Right. There's things that cross over, timing and those kind of things, but there's difference. So again, I think as a skill person, like Robbie said, being humble, understanding that you are your best critic, and being your best critic. Oh, I could have done that better. I could have done this better. Understanding what it is, and then information. Find out as a new player or even as an older player what it is your tech's vision is for the sound, right?
Yeah.
Because that's different from year to year. Remember my first year on mellophone back at Reading? I fought Paul so hard about those stupid Hammonds, the mouthpieces, because I am not everybody uses the same mouthpiece, so we all sound the same person. I sense like I have one now, and I like it because I've spent so many years playing on it now. But I liked my old mouthpiece.
What was your old mouthpiece? Was it like a Dennis Wick or something?
No, it was just a straight up Jupiter mouthpiece. It's a bigger bore. Like it was just a bigger mouthpiece. And for me as a tuba player, I could play louder. I could play with more open tone. Like it was more comfortable mouthpiece for me personally. But anyway, like I didn't subscribe to that concept. But when Paul and I sat down and talked about it one day, and I was like, okay, I understand where your thought process is coming from and why that's important to this line, and I will fall in, and that's what I'm going to do, right? So it's the same thing. I'm 40 years old, 39 years old at the time, finding new information, and not just new information, but understanding what the people that are standing in front of me are looking for.
Yeah,
because it's different from core to core. It's different from person to person. So
and
things.
you can use those as a tool while you're practicing.
Absolutely.
Right? I remember there was this great moment that I always remember when we were on tour, and we were doing like brass checkoffs, basically, of like, can you play this certain brass feature?
Yeah.
Right. And we were playing through. We just like we were all sitting down, and we were with our baritone tech, and we were just playing through like these runs. And like 4 people went, and he was like, guys, every single one of you played it the first time, and I told you to use more air, and then you played it a second time, it sounded better. He was like, just use more air to start off, right?
Right.
But like, I thought that, I think there was a cool lesson in there.
Right.
Of like, especially if you're, let's say you're mid winter season in a DCI Corps. You've been to a few camps, you got your contract, you've, been to a few of these winter camps. It's February or March or something, right? Take this stuff. Make note of those comments that the techs are always saying, because all of them have phrases that they're going to say over and over because people don't remember to do it, right? Be that person that goes, okay, the brass people are always telling us to just use more air as a default, right? And to, blow from down here and not your throat, right?
Right.
While I'm practicing, checking in. Am I doing that, right? Am I using a nice warm sound, right? Am I fogging up the window glass? All that kind of stuff, right? Because if you train yourself to think that way, to remember the things that you're being told as if you're being teched while you're by yourself, you're gonna be much more successful, right? You're gonna have a leg up on everyone else who doesn't do those things,
right? Which I think is a great segue into number 3 in our list, which is mental and emotional prep.
Yeah.
So that kind of bleeds into the mental concept of being self-aware, right? You need to understand just because you think it's important doesn't mean that everybody thinks it's important, right? And it's simple things like that. And so when we say being mentally prepared, I think what I mean when I say that is being open to receiving information.
Yeah.
Right. Not just to be like, oh, well, my high school band does it this way, or the last drum corps I was in did it this way, or I like this. And I've already said several times, like I'm resistant to some of those things too. And I have to constantly remind myself, like, maybe you should take in this new information and just absorb it, see if it makes sense. And if you're receptive to it on a mental level, then on an emotional level, you get out of your own way, right? Because what happens when you block information, you immediately become frustrated. You become, I want to say angry, but like, aggressive in like, I don't need this. I don't want this. Like, and those emotions that, we get pulled into sometimes, they create just more bad stuff that happens on the back end. So those things go in tangent with each other all the time. Like if you can't manage one or the other one, whichever one you're not managing, is going to fall to the wayside too. If you can't manage yourself emotionally, then you're not going to be receptive mentally. If mentally you're blocking everything, you're probably being over emotional about why you're blocking those things. And nobody is winning in that scenario. You're pissing off your tech and everybody else around you, and you're angry, they're angry, everybody's mad. It's not a good time for anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, especially, if you're newer to drum corps and you're going into it, like, that's what I was kind of going to say, like, be prepared to get frustrated and be prepared to try and deal with that and try and, try and not let it affect you. Right. If you're ready for it and you're receptive for it, right. If it doesn't, the fact, because your frustrations are going to happen in drum corps. They do every single year for every single person.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I yelled at the box last year. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember that or not?
Yelled at the box.
I yelled at the box from the field after a rep,
Yeah.
And it was a hot day. It was just one of the, and I did it.
Yeah.
That day it defeated me. I was defeated by everything. And, Paul came up to me afterwards and he was like, "Thank you for yelling at the box." And I was like, I thought this was going to be a much different conversation.
That was going to be a slow little
like, hey, don't do that shit again. Right. And it was just, I think it was just both one of those things where, him being receptive, just like, I believe.
Exactly. That was a great example of the staff, of a staff member being like, I could just give anger back right here, but I'm going to be receptive.
But why is this person angry at me right now? Oh, okay. Because I'm doing things, or because what's happening right now is he's probably not the only person dealing with that frustration. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm frustrated. He's frustrated. We need to take a step back, take a deep breath and go, okay, what are we going to do? And as soon as I did that, and I remember this vividly, as soon as I did that, not only was I scared because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get thrown in this place. But I said, that kind of behavior isn't going to help anybody. Right. It was a step in the wrong direction for me and people around me. You can sense the tension, and shit. So I started going around everybody. And I was like, hey guys, and I started apologizing to people on the field. I'm sorry. Let me be the bastion of appropriate emotional responses and go, we're gonna have a better rehearsal. Like, I know it's hot, it sucks. Let's be better. I know the staff is doing whatever they're doing. We're doing whatever we're doing. We just need to push through. We have to be the bigger people. Heckman is so freaking good at that. A good horn sergeant is great at that, coming out and going, guys, I understand it's hot and it sucks. We need to focus in because our mental and emotional place is not going to help whatever you're frustrated at.
Being like, when you're in tough situations like that, right? Sometimes, that's going to happen in drum corps.
Yeah, you have to accept that.
The environment sucks, or you're repping a hard portion, or some part of the show isn't working out, or
doing 210.
Yeah. Or you're getting frustrated with each other, or the staff's getting frustrated with you, or with each other, or yada yada. What, right? Being able to recognize and be like, okay, these frustrations are arising, and the source of those frustrations might be valid and might be something we need to talk about. But if we just all start yelling about it and just being angry or closing off and just seething, right? It's like, that's not going to help anyone. It's not going to help you. You're not going to feel better about it. You're not going to be good at it. Right. You're not going to improve whatever is happening. Right. Being able to recognize the root of things and be like, maybe, especially if you're a senior member, being like, maybe this is the thing that, this is the thing we need to bring up. But if we just come in hot.
Yeah. If you're just coming in hot, just
start yelling at the box, it might, it's not super helpful. Sometimes it's going to happen, but the ability to rein in that fatigue and that frustration that you're going to feel is going to make you a much more successful member in drum corps. Right. It's going to help you have a better time too.
100% right. Perception is reality, right? If you can figure out a way to emotionally and mentally prepare yourself, and that's different for every single person out there, right? Everybody has a different way of calming down, cooling off, whatever you want to call them, bringing yourself down out of the ketchup into the mustard, right? If you need to get down to a better place, maybe you need to just walk slowly to the bathroom and take a deep breath, use the latrine, the latrine, that's the army coming out of me, use the bathroom, and then walk back to the field and be in a better mental state. That's way better than sitting there just being angry at things, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, as a preparation process, really trying to focus in on you yourself and understanding what that means to you and how to emotionally manage your own thoughts and feelings can be a very big benefit. And nobody's going to be perfect. And I think that's a big part of that too, is realizing that it's okay that you feel that way.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have control over your feelings. Everybody feels whatever they feel. You do have control what you do with those feelings. Always important, right? What are you going to do with that information? And how are you going to respond? That's the part that we do as every human being does have has a control over.
Yeah.
So that's from mental prep.
Yeah.
And I think moving on to one of my favorite parts of drum corps and the preparation thing is research.
Yeah.
Ooh, man.
It's a fun one. What do you mean? So let's explain. What do you mean by research?
Okay. So what do I mean by research, right? We all, most of us, right? 99.9% of us get into drum corps because we saw drum corps.
Yeah.
Right? And we're like, oh, look at that.
Saw a cool show.
Right. Saw a cool show. And the first thing we thought is that could be me, or I want to do that. Right.
I remember watching, I think I said this last year, like Tilt was my first, like, that was the show that got me. I had seen drum corps shows before then.
Right.
Cadets and Cavies 2011 were some really good ones.
Yeah.
I had seen some Crown 2013 when that came out. I didn't really understand it. But I remember specifically, I know because I heard of the brass playing and I was like, I don't know, I play the saxophone. I don't know why this is impressive.
Right.
But I remember specifically looking at it was a Blue Coats head cam. Okay. It was like the orange was all blown out because it looked like it was a scene from a movie that was in Mexico and they put an orange filter over it to communicate that it was in Mexico.
Right.
It looked like that. I'm assuming it was in some incredibly hot place in Texas, but I saw a head cam video of a baritone. I remember thinking that exact same thing and being like, this is awesome. And I wish that were me.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think you do research, but the key to research is two things for me. Number one, find what talks to you, right? Because that way you can choose what corps you want to go to. Yeah. Right. A lot of people love the cadets. I want to say I was resistant against it, but I was never a big fan of the we walk everywhere in twos and we're so stoic that we can't
like the high discipline,
super high discipline thing. Like I do drum corps because I want to have fun. Right.
Yeah.
And I like the disciplined version of things too, but it was just a little overkill for me.
Yeah.
Right. So before you decide,
some people love that. Right?
Oh, I love this show. Figure out what that organization is about. Right. We had Connor on last week, and he's talking about the vibe there. And we're talking about the Blue Devils and how they treat members, and that's incredible, right? Do you want to go there, and because that's the vibe you want, or some people love that cadet vibe, or it's probably more of a Boston vibe now, a Crown vibe, very, very, very stoic, very like we are here to work. Some people love that. Yeah. If that's you.
I mean, that was a big draw for the cadets for a while. Was like,
yes,
they were serious, they were in it, and they were one of the best
around. Exactly.
So, it was kind of like.
That's what made them the best, right? Because because everybody bought into that process. So when I say research, figure out what drives you. Figure out when you're watching shows, like, is it just the show because it looks fun? Because every drum corps show should be that, right? Every drum corps show should look like a good time. That's what the show is designed for. But get into the nitty gritty. Look at the lots. Right, lot videos.
Yep.
We're into 2024. It is a great time to be alive for drum corps because there's so much media content available behind the scenes. Of drum corps, not just PBS. One time a year, which is what it was when I was growing up.
ESPN 6 doing a special.
ESPN 8, the Ocho.
Yeah, the Ocho.
It's not that anymore. You have so much really, really fun, like head cams, and you have the lot videos, and you have I think Crown and Phantom both do this really cool thing with like a meet the members kind of thing where their media team puts together all this cool stuff, and you kind of get to like learn all those things. Like, oh, okay, this is the kind of organization I want to be a part of, because I do think your success in drum corps has a lot to do with making sure that the vibe that you yourself want is being produced in the place where you're going, right?
Yeah.
I think that's super, super important. And plus it's just fun. Go watch shit, online.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Like I think one of the cool things with lot videos that you can do is you get to, especially if they don't cut out like the staff talking, you get an idea, you can get, a sense, at least a vibe for what the program is going to be like, right? when you look at Crown videos and you see Matt Harloff, you know, saying things, you know, obviously there's all the moments where he's yelling passionately and punching the air to get,
right.
but like all the moments in between too, where the things he's saying, right? That gives you an idea for what the teaching environment and what the focus is going to be like. And that can be huge.
Yeah. And you look at the little details, right? Yeah, like we were talking, the same thing, I'll bring up Connor again, because we was on last week, is look at the detail of the water jugs. Do you want to be in an environment like that? Do you care about those things, right? The organization that you're looking at, whoever that is, are they super hyper focused on those things, right? Look at how intense they are at lots. When they warm up, they're totally quiet. They're doing all those things.
Yeah, look at how the members are reacting and listening and standing and everything while the staff is talking, right? That gives you a sense for what the expectations are.
Yes, exactly. So that way when you get there, you have a general idea of really what you're like. They want that. They want that from you. The staff wants you to be, you know, whatever they want you to be. Those videos, if you're, you know, insightful about them and watch them and pay attention to them, they're going to give you a good idea of how to be successful in those organizations, right? And what they're looking for.
I mean, we've talked about this before, like especially if you're going to a higher level, you know, top 12 or top 6 DCI core and you're trying out. It doesn't matter if you're the best brass player in the world. Mm-hmm. If you go up there and, you know, you go to the first horns up and your horn carriage is weak and you look like you're a, you know, high school concert band player, you could get cut day one because like you want to have the presence, you know, that they're looking for, the members. You can find that. You can look at that through lot videos, right?
Video yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The same way, right?
Right. For all you kids that want to go out to Blue Coats, right? Like look at a Blue Coats lot video and, you know, they're pretty chill, I think, during, you know, their rehearsals. But, you know, look at how they look, how they move, when they go up to horns up, when they lock in and get ready to play. Right. Look at that and be like, that is what I got to emulate, right? If you're going out for an audition process, right? Look that up and be like, this, you know, I can be this, right? How much effort are they putting in to doing this? How do they look? Do I look that good?
Right. Exactly. Right? Yes. 100%. Yeah. And that's exactly what you need to do, right? Because that's, if you walk in kind of already understanding that, you're going to be way more successful auditioning and doing anything else. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, and we haven't really kind of like specifically said this yet, but as a DCI all age activity, you need to know that probably more than anybody, because you got to turn it on and turn it off every day, every weekend, right? Because you're leaving, you're not going to be on tour, you're kind of walking away, and you got to come in every weekend just ready to turn it on, which is what we're going to talk about in number 9. You know, turn it on and get ready to go. Right. So understanding what the expectations of your organization are, it makes everything better, right? It makes people yell at you less, you become more successful, you have a better time, all those things. It all leads into all that stuff. Yeah. Right. I don't have a really good segue for the next one. Unless you have you want everything else you want to talk about research?
No, I think we're ready to go.
Next one is the best one.
Oh yeah.
Gear.
Stuff,
right? All the stuff.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing that you have that has taken you through drum corps, no matter what it is, right?
Can it be kind of gimmicky?
I mean, anything you want it to be. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure
I know what mine is.
I'm sure we can get away with this on tour, but there's this one tool. I want to see if I can bring it out again. Great for hot days. It's this little canister, like water sprayer, basically.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's you pump it and it pressurizes the water, and then it's a mister.
Yeah.
Right? You spray it and it mists, and because it's just water and it's aerosolized and it's also, you know, going from high pressure to low pressure, there's some science in there of it actually cooling down, right? When you go from a high pressure system to a low one, it's just like, all you do is put water in it. It can be completely lukewarm. It can be the temperature of the outside, right? You pressurize it and spray it, and it's like just a cool like mist. It's so refreshing. Yeah. I remember one day, I think in 2015 or 16, we were at Buck Field. It was like on one of those unbelievably hot days. Yeah. Everyone was so tired and covered in dust because it was a dust bowl by that point in the season. And I remember us all lining up on the field to get talked to by the corps director, and we just like getting the sprayer and just like running past the whole corps. Yeah. All the percussionists and guard and brass and everyone just like spraying them with this mister, and everyone was like, oh my God, it feels so good.
It's such a, yeah. Sometimes those little things, it can be the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like there's little extra pieces, you know, and like you said, maybe on tour it might be tough because you're so limited in space.
But honestly, like put in your, like get one of those little like,
I can't see
those little battery powered fans. It's got a spray ball. Yeah, this thing was pretty big, but like you get one of those tiny ones, got a little fan on it, right?
Just for you.
Just a little luxury comfort.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So for
And what's
me,
yours?
it's backpack. Number one, most important piece of gear,
Huge.
because if you choose the wrong backpack, and for those of you who've been on tour before, or even in DCI all age, maybe that's all you've done so far, the importance of being able to carry, not just carry all your stuff with you, but the access that you have to those things at a quick pace so that everything is compartmentalized and organized within your pack so that you can find it and you know where it is like day after day is so critically important.
Yeah.
Right. I have a bag I've had since I think 2017. It's been the same. That thing is, I can't believe it's still even running and working, but it's, in my opinion, it's the perfect bag. Right. In my humble opinion on this, it's the perfect bag because it's got the outside pockets, right? Because you need stuff for sunscreen. You need a place for there's little things on the outside, hang my gloves off of them so that they dry out at the end of the day, right? So when I'm done with the day, my gloves are soaking wet from sweat. I just hang them on there, and just them being out and about rather than shoving them into a bag.
Oh yeah, lets them actually dry out.
Lets them actually dry out, and then they become a little more functional, right? It's got a little thing on the back for my hat. It's got I got a couple of carabiners on there for like random other things. I can hang my dot book on it.
Yeah, if you can find a backpack that's got like I have a backpack that it looks like military-esque.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Those things are great. Any of those backpacks that have like that,
it's called a Molly system.
A Molly system, yeah. Like just that.
Yeah.
You've seen it before, right? You can imagine it. It's one of those lines, there's the actual backpack, there's another layer of fabric that's basically just got holes and slits in it.
There's loops in it and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, loops and things for you to hang everything on.
Right.
I'm actually I'll tack on, because in terms of a non-gimmicky one, honestly, no matter what you're doing for tour, go out, do yourself a favor, buy a couple, at least 100-pound carabiner.
Yeah.
One of those big old, they look comically large. They're ridiculous.
Yeah.
They are so useful.
Oh my God. So
especially
useful.
like,
I have two of them on my back.
Yeah. I have two as well. I think one of them's yours.
Probably.
I have one that I've had for years. I hang my hats on there. I hang my water jug if my hands are going to be full.
Right.
I have, when we've been moving props, don't tell the brass team, but like sometimes you have to, you hang your horn on there even, right?
I have a strap that goes, like
across the chest.
Across the chest. I hang
clips.
my horn on that. I clip it right through the horn, and my horn just dangles on my chest, so I'm not bumping into other things while I'm moving props and doing anything else. And I'm totally hands free then. Because personally, for me, and I know a lot of people do it, it drives me bonkers. I can't stand hanging my water jug on my backpack because it's like it's just all over the damn place.
Yeah.
And I also find that it tears the Molly system up on the backpack a little
Mine's
bit.
getting a little torn up as well too,
because it's so much weight.
I like it because it's nice to have, right? It's nice. And the Molly system's great because you can
clip and go. Yeah.
The worst is when you have to hang your water jug on like a carabiner that's on the strap of your backpack, because that's just knocking into your knee the whole time.
Yep.
The Molly system, you like put it up and like it stays, it's still annoying, it's still in the way, but it stays relatively away from the rest of the moving parts of the body.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And so I think, it's like a walk back process when it comes to gear. One, every drum corps you go to, especially the DCI World ones, they're going to give you a list.
I was about to say, the biggest thing you can do is just get one of the vets is going to have a list.
Yeah.
If they don't, then feel free to ask. Like, be that rookie that's just like, hey, does anyone have a packing list? Because if they do, they're just gonna send it. Right. If they don't, at least one vet, if you're in a good corps, is going to be like, no, we don't have a packing list. Let me make one. Right? Probably every corps by now has one. And if not, you can find one online.
Yeah. I will say this too. A lot of corps now, if you want to get out there and support your local corps or anything else, they have what's it called, the Amazon affiliate program, where corps will post up a list, right? And then if you click on like, hey, this is the water jug we want you to buy. If you click on that link right there, the corps gets a kickback from you purchasing the water jug you have to purchase anyway, right? So you're going to pay the same price you're going to pay for it anyway, but Amazon sends them a small check at the end of the thing. Yeah. I know Reading does that with a lot of stuff. So that's a good way to support. If you're out there in a DCI all age version, you don't have that at your corps, find a different corps that does. Like, why not? Like, it's basically free money that you're giving out to those things. But everybody has a list of those things. A great hat is super important. Most of the time, your sections are going to get their own hats or do whatever they're going to do. Yeah. But if not, having a good hat is so important. A sunscreen. Oh, I would say this too. This is kind of like falls into the research. If you have never been on tour before, this is your first season marching or doing whatever, you need to test all these things before your first time. If you're going on tour, before you get to tour, before you get there, you can't just be like, oh, I bought enough sunscreen to last me. And then you put it on your body and all of a sudden you realize you're allergic to it. Like, oh shit, now I have to get rid of all this freaking sunscreen and go find something else.
Or one, there's like copper tone, I think, for me. I don't know why. I put it on one day in like 2015 or something, and it was just like green spots all over my skin.
Yeah.
I don't think I was having an allergic reaction, but it was weird enough that I was like, I shouldn't buy more of this. If I bought in 5 cans of that and I was on tour with that, I'd be like,
Yeah. Yeah. And
I don't know what to do now.
Yeah. And there's other things too, like our boy Ryan. If you're listening, Ryan, I'm gonna trash on you for a second. Last year
He doesn't get enough of that
at
rehearsal.
all. At rehearsal at all. And I love you, buddy. But simple things like valve oil. What kind of valve oil is your core using?
Yep.
Right.
Synthetic or petroleum based. Which one?
Which one is it? Right. And because
you can get a brand that's even better.
I had this argument with him last year. He's like, well, I just have this. I'm like, that's not the brand that we're using here. It's going to muck up your horn. And sure, that's exactly what happened. I'm like, that's why we do this thing. Stop being resistant to everything and just follow some of the things that are out there. And I wouldn't say that, like, I hate people who just say blindly follow everything. If it really doesn't have any bearing, on what's going on, I'm like, don't blindly follow somebody off of a cliff and hurt yourself. You know what I mean? But if you're like, hey, we only, it's the jug thing, right? Like, hey, everybody gets a blue jug. Well, I already have a red one. Well, everybody gets a blue one. Like, you have to have a blue one. So just go buy a blue jug.
Just buy a blue jug.
It would be like me because I get resistance about that sometimes too. Like, everybody's like, we need to have a blue jug. Well, I have a red one. What needs to be blue? I put blue tape around it because I'm not buying a new jug. So, but like whatever those things are, again, it always, I think it boils down to ask the questions, right? Ask those things. Some of the other things I think are really fun and I never got to experience, but I always see it every time I see videos of kids on tour is the little suction cup crap that you put on the windows.
Oh yeah. There's so much real estate. So much window real estate.
Yeah, there's so much real estate. You're not thinking about up and on the side.
Yeah. Get so much bus life stuff. And a lot of lists are going to have this, right? Get like S clips. The amount of times I was able to like hang stuff, because they get that ridge, hang like a water bottle or, a little extra baggie or something, like hang stuff all around or on the seats, right?
Right.
Those little S clips or extra carabiners are super helpful for that. Having a little bus box, like, a short, wide box that you can house some stuff in, like bus snacks, especially.
Oh, like that goes underneath the.
Yeah, exactly. It goes in and it stays under there, right? You don't take it into the housing site. It stays under there because you're going to live on a bus half the time anyway.
Right. Yeah,
it's going to be extremely hot, but bring a good hoodie or sweatshirt.
Yeah.
If you're on tour.
Yeah.
Right? Because it will get shockingly cold at points and you're not going to be ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the same thing, I think, if you're on tour, I think every single one of your core's packing list is going to say those things. Don't ignore those lists. Those lists are put together with decades of experience and people who said, this is the stuff I wish I knew before I went on tour or doing any of those things.
And full disclosure, especially those little detail things like, moleskins was one of the things on my.
Yeah.
I never had to use them, but I'm glad that I had them. Right, even if you're like, I probably won't need that.
Right,
just get it and bring it.
Right.
One of the things I remember, I'm not sure this was on the list. Someone may have mentioned it once, and a lot of people may ignore this. Bring a roll of toilet paper with you.
Oh yeah, good one. Yeah, absolutely.
There was exactly one time on tour that I was like, it was like for some reason, like a 3-minute run back to, the inside, all the way, from the field, up past another field, around the other side of the school and into the housing site, because that's the only spot where bathrooms were. And I got in there, and like another guy was like walking out, and he was like, by the way, no toilet paper in there. And I was like, oh, don't you worry, because I do have to use toilet paper this time.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have toilet paper. That I'd be like,
sink.
I guess, yeah. But I was like,
elevated bidet.
I got one extra roll of toilet paper that was like just smushed and smashed up inside. But I was like, it's a roll of toilet paper.
Yeah, it works.
And I need it exactly once, and that is more than enough reason to justify having it.
Yeah.
Right? You'd much rather have it and not need it.
Yeah. The little travel packs of handy wipes. Those are they're nice and small. It comes in a pack about this big.
Buy lots of travel packs worth of stuff, right?
Those kind of
things.
It's
much better to have that. And heck, even if you don't need it, someone else might. And if you can be that guy, it's like, oh, don't worry, I got you. Right?
Yeah.
I got this thing.
Be a friend, which is really just a great segue into number 6, which is relationships.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think this is almost number 1 for me personally, right? Because drum corps, and I said this before, is so much about people for me.
It's about the people.
It's about people for me.
It's the only reason we love the activity, but like, if we didn't love the people that we were doing it with, I don't think we would have nearly as much.
I love being around people that I love being around, right? And it's obviously that everybody that does drum corps, because it's such a niche activity, loves what we're doing, right? If you're doing drum corps right now and you don't like enjoy it, get out. Give some room for somebody else.
Why are you doing this to yourself?
Why are you beating yourself?
This is so hard and so expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Stop it, right? So you probably love it. I love being around people who love the things that I love, right? So for me, I think one of the most critical things for being on tour or for the season is having somebody that you trust, having somebody that's a great friend, having somebody that you brought with you. You know, I say this all the time. My best friend from high school, I drug him to corps with me, and then the year after, I drug 4 more people from my high school. There were 6 of us in '99 that were there from my high school that were marching there. I went and grabbed everybody I could. You know, and I said it before, '99 is my 3rd favorite season. So, and a lot of it is because of all the people I had there. I had so many great friends. The car rides are better going back and forth to practice. You know, I have people just having somebody that you know and you're comfortable with is really great. You know, they call them force multipliers. The more people you have around you, the more people are going to come to you, and you can get to know people a little bit better. It becomes a little safer, or at least feels safer. You know, it feels more comfortable, and your overall experience is going to be so much better, right?
Yeah. Right. If you're kind of thinking of coming out to corps, like try and bring a friend along, right?
Always.
You're probably in marching band. There's probably other people that were considering doing it. Just put some feelers out there.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I noticed that you got the right kind of attitude and you're a cool dude, right? Come with me to this camp.
Go. Yeah.
Right. Or if someone's telling you to do that, listen to them.
Yeah.
Listen. Yeah. Give in to the peer pressure.
Yeah. Right.
Go out to a camp. Give it a try.
Yeah.
Right.
And even if you don't think they're good enough, like, because a lot of people have that feeling. They're like, oh, that kid's probably not going to make it. One of my very best friends from high school, the same thing in '99, he was a tuba player with me. He was a terrible tuba player. I mean, there's no reason why this kid should have made drum corps at this point. But he was like, yeah, like, you're my buddy. And you say, I'm good enough. Let's do this thing. We went out. He marched to Reading for 7 years. And he was great. He won a bunch of championships, Yeah. He went and auditioned at a DCI. He went and auditioned for Boston in I think it was 03 or 04, something like that.
Yeah.
Decided not to march, and then he came back to Reading and did all these things. He was there forever. He was a great dude, and he was my best travel buddy. He was the guy that was going with me every single time I went anywhere or did anything. He was great. So even if you don't look down on your fellow classmates out there that you don't think might be good enough, really take some stock into looking at people and go, is this the kind of person I want to hang out with?
Yeah.
Are you my bud?
Yeah.
Or my best girlfriend or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
Because we talked about this before, right? It's like you're going to go through so much crap in drum corps, so many hard moments. You've got to surround yourself with people that you like, and you have to learn to like the people that you're surrounded by.
Right.
You have to reach out and you have to make connections. You have to be friends, because if you're not friends with those people, if you're not enjoying their company, then it's just,
that's the worst.
I don't know how you're going to survive.
Yeah, you're not. You're just not. You're going to have a miserable time. You're not going to have a good experience. You're going to have, and not only that too, if you're not having a good experience, your general vibe, and I'm a very big, universal vibe kind of dude. If you're not putting out good vibes, then people are picking that up, and they're not probably having a good time. So you don't want to be the person that's dragging everybody down.
That even ties back into the mental prep game, right? Being frustrated. It's
absolutely.
If you're just salty about stuff all the time, it's not going to, right? Mentality is reality.
Ooh,
is that
I love that. I don't think I've ever heard it that way before.
Yeah. We're going to coin that one.
Yeah.
Right. Even if the day sucks, right? If you just put out some good vibes, it's going to help the people around you. They're going to like you more. They're going to put out some better vibes back, right? If you honestly try and, keep those good vibes up, it's gonna have a positive effect, right?
Always.
Even if it's just I can tell you how many crappy days we had in 2015. There was this guy, Tyrell. Do you ever meet Tyrell?
Oh, no.
Tyrell, he marched baritone here a couple of years. I think he's teaching at Surf now.
Oh, okay.
He was this dude, real quiet, right? Didn't say much. He struggled a lot the first year that he was marching, right? But every day we'd have, we'd be at a crappy rehearsal at Buckfield, and we'd be so tired, and we'd be running the closer, we'd be dying. You'd run past him. He would just walk up to you. He wouldn't say a word. Just a little fist bump.
Just a little fist bump.
Give a little fist bump.
Yeah.
You'd fist bump and be like,
yeah.
You're right, Tyrell. Yeah. You're right.
It's a good day. Yeah.
Exactly. You're like those little those little moments of outreach, right? A little fist bump, a little like checking in with someone,
Doing
right?
good,
Reassuring them, right? Anything like that, a little joke here or there, it can make a world of difference,
Yeah,
right? Because
absolutely.
when you're just out there drowning and it's miserable, you're looking for anything to hold on to, right? Those little moments of positivity can really make or break someone's whole entire block or day.
Yeah. And listen, for every person that you bring up, they're going to be there to bring you back up when you need it too. Like you can't be the dude that's perpetually treading in water forever, like with everybody holding on to you, right? At some point, you're going to have to let somebody else take over. And, it's a balance of life, right? A balance of people. You can't, you got to be the good person because at some point you're going to be the guy struggling and you're going to need somebody to run up to you and kind of give you, hey, what's up?
And heck, that was me.
Josh was that guy for me in 22.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Crazy mellophone Josh. He never said anything. He was a super quiet dude. And every now and again, like when it was just a really crappy day, he would say something outrageous. And I'd be like, what is that? It would just make me laugh. And I'd be like, you know what? You're right, man.
Sleeper comments.
This is sleeper comment. I'm like, you're right, man. It's going to be a great day. It would make me smile and it just changed my mindset, just immediately all the time, so you can be effective all the time. I think it's so important. Which I think is, another good segue. We're a lot of good segues right now. We're really cruising along into I think we're at number 7, which is patience.
Yep. We touched on this a little bit with the mental game thing.
Yeah. I think it bleeds into everything, right? It's one of those really great, I don't call them skills, but like maybe it's a life skill to be able to take a step back from what you are doing, what you are experiencing and going, how am I going to respond to this right now? Like what is the result that I am looking for from the experience I'm having right now? Right. Because if you just choose emotional violence, and when I say that, I don't mean like physically violent, but I mean like lashing out and it being storming in your own mind and going, I am choosing to just be mad and angry right now. That's the way you're going to stay. Right. But if you just be patient and go, okay, like you'll see me all the time, like dealing with certain people, I'll just go like this. And that's me going, it's me going, how am I going to choose to respond to this person right now? Because I could be angry and pissy and like lash out and be a raging, bad person. Or I can choose to go, hey man, I'm going to go. You maybe just walk away from that person or go, I appreciate what you're saying right now. Thank you for your comment, or whatever the case may be, whatever it is I need to do to not escalate it in a negative way.
Yeah.
Right. That's the power of patience. Right.
There's always, as we said before, there's going to be, frustration moments. There's always going to be certain moments in drum corps. There's going to be a moment where you are like told to do something and your immediate gut reaction is, what the hell are you talking about?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. Or like, or like, no, that's impossible or yada, yada. That's too hard.
Right.
Yada, it's going to happen either because, it's going to happen for new people because you just haven't been around the activity and you don't know. Yeah. You either don't know you can, or you just don't know what to expect. It's going to happen in a different way, but it's going to happen for vets, right? Right. Where you know a lot about the activity by now. A lot of times you get said something, or you get told something and your initial response, you're like, no, what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you, right?
Yeah.
The ability to stop and just be like, I'm just going to try it.
Yeah.
Right. We have a saying at Reading, the whole like, okay, I'll do it, but I think there's nuance to it, but I think the general, what?
I understand the meaning behind it.
Yeah. Right. But the general meaning of like, just give it a try.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Don't, right. If you give up on something mentally before you even try it, then you're self-defeating.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's like the thing that I tell, kids on tests. It's like the only way to get the answer wrong is to not put anything. The only way to assure yourself that you're going to get the answer wrong is to not put anything. The only way to assure yourself that you're going to fail at something at drum corps is to give up on it before you've even given it a try.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's such a great, I think it's a good life lesson. And honestly, like I say this all the time about activities like drum corps or, sports or anything else that you're into, is that you build life skills through your experiences in these things. Patience is probably the biggest one that I think I gained from drum corps and all my years of doing that. It bled over into my career in the military because that place is the most impatient place on the planet. And I thrived in that environment because I had a level of patience that I understood and I learned how to hone as a young person in this activity so that I could be successful later in life. and do the things that needed to be done. So it's like everything. I think it's important to recognize that you can't be patient 100% of the time. You can be mindful that patience is important 100% of the time, but emotions will take over. You'll get angry, you'll get upset. You'll have times when you break down a little bit. Things will become overbearing, or you'll allow other things in your day to defeat you because they're just mounting on top of each other, one after the next, right? And there'll be days when it fails you, but you can be mindful that you should be patient, or that you should attempt to be patient, and at least give it a try every single time.
Yeah.
And that's the real success in it. Not being perfect at it, but being aware that it's an option for you, right?
Yeah.
So
that's huge.
So yeah, and then I would say this, again, probably no good segue for this next one, but I think this is a really important one for the DCI all age and the DCI world-class kids, or it's just anything, right? Which is physical maintenance.
We talked about prep. What about when you actually get there, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Now you're there, you're on tour, or you're in the middle of the season, and maybe you didn't prepare yourself well enough, and now you're feeling the effects of that lack of preparation, right? Or maybe you did prepare yourself and you're dealing with an injury or something like that, right?
I mean, it's going to happen, especially in DCI world class and open class.
Right.
Like it's more than likely just going to happen. Like I was in pretty good shape. I got in very good shape, but I think I talked about before, like, I still had a couple of small issues, with my joints.
Right.
It's going to happen because you're just putting so much stress on it. There's just a higher likelihood that even if you're doing everything right beforehand, that these things might come up.
Yeah. And going back to the last, survival point is patience. You need to have patience with your body, right? You need to understand that you are not indestructible. That there are moments that you're going to,
and all you 22 and younger people might feel like you're indestructible.
Yeah, but you're not, and that's and again, it's okay to be that way. It's okay to be indestructible, or to have a problem, to have an issue that you need to work through. It's not okay to ignore it. Tell everybody else that you're going to ignore it, and then break yourself to the point where you can't recover from it completely, and do that. Now, that being said, I've seen plenty enough people where they have hurt themselves or injured themselves and have done almost nothing to correct that as time goes on. And then they go, well, I'm broken. Well, what did you do? Right.
Yeah.
What is the maintenance that you are putting on yourself to be successful, to be better, to get there? Or, are you, okay, you got a busted knee. How many times did you stretch your knee this week? Right. How many times have you, done some light physical therapy, whatever that looks like to you? Have you been to physical therapy? Okay, you don't have the insurance to go, or you don't have the time. Totally got it. The internet is your oyster, right?
Yeah.
Get on there and go, what can I do because my inside of my knee hurts, right? What are stretches that I can do?
Yeah.
What are you doing with your time? And be very honest with yourself, right? Because I know a lot of kids out there be like, oh, I tried everything. Everything's a lot. There's a lot of everything.
It's a long list.
There's a long list of things. You didn't try everything, right? How much time and effort did you really put into doing those things? When you're on tour, are you listening? Because I think every corps now, as they go on tour, has a physical therapist that pretty much goes with them.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All the big ones, at least. Right? All the ones that can afford it.
I would probably say all your top 12 corps have them.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody that's
probably all
out
the
there,
top like 15 or 20.
Yeah, I would say it. If you're on tour and you're traveling and you're on the bus all the time, like you've got somebody that listen to them for the love of everything.
Yeah.
You need to take time and everything goes in that. Your nutrition, how much hydration you're doing, how much, how many electrolytes you're putting in your body, because those things, cramping happens all the time. That kind of stuff, you have to be mindful of it. And when you feel great, and I think that's the thing that gets everybody, when you feel great, you have to keep doing the maintenance.
Yep.
Just because you feel good doesn't mean you should stop the maintenance. You probably feel good because the maintenance existed, right? And so I feel great, right? You don't, like, your car is driving great. That doesn't mean you never change the oil in it, right? You still have to change the oil, even if the car is driving fine, like, because you're supposed to do that, right? You can't just wait until your engine explodes and go, oh, now it's time to change the oil. Like, that's not how that works, right? You have to do constant maintenance, and you have to be self-aware of your own body. And if you feel great, that means you're doing something right. Keep doing that stuff. Keep massaging your legs every single night. Keep, stretching your shoulders out, at the end of the day. Keep, doing the running that you're doing or whatever it is you're doing. Keep doing those things because they are going to pay off in dividends at the end, and hey, that's great. If you just keep doing that and you never hurt and you get to the end of the season, wow, what do you know? You had a great season. You know what I mean? And then you look back, and I know people have looked back and be like, I did all this work and it didn't really I didn't really need it. I never got hurt. That's what happened, dude.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. Like, next year I won't have to do all this physical therapy. Like, I don't have to spend 20 minutes at the end of every practice, like rubbing my legs down because my legs are great. And then I get to next year and their legs are all banged up and broken. Like, I don't understand why they hurt this year because you didn't do this stuff anymore. I mean, you didn't do the maintenance. It's so important to remember that. And I think it's more important for the younger kids.
Yep.
To know those things.
Yeah. That was kind of one of my big points, was just like, you have to be proactive with stuff.
Yes.
You have to recognize that your body's not going to hold up forever, and you have to be proactive about it, because the more you do on the front end when you don't need it,
right,
the less you will need it on the back end. Right. The one time that I saw a kid get, so we had a person, lose their spot basically on the line from physical stuff, was not because, we had a few people that, they got injured and they physically couldn't keep marching.
Right.
But we had we had a guy in the trumpet line in 2017 Blue Knights who, I think he got sick or he got some kind of injury or something. And we had a PT person, and, she gave him a certain regimen to follow, and he didn't do that. I think he took a bunch more ibuprofen than he was prescribed or something.
Right.
Yeah. And he ended up getting it was combined with something else. He ended up getting some stomach ulcers, and then he was out for longer. And they were like, the staff was like, hey, we were fine when you had this ailment that you had to deal with, but then you didn't take the recovery advice that we set out for you,
right,
that you were given, and now you're sitting out for longer. They're like, you lost your spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. They kicked him to an alternate spot, and they brought him in the alternates and had them march.
Yeah.
So it was like, you gotta listen. You gotta listen to your body, and you also gotta listen to people that know a lot, right?
Yeah.
We're very, very fortunate to have a physical therapist, a person who's professional physical therapist, basically.
Yeah.
Right. On, in the line with us, and have him as advice, and have, a couple of good staff members that know what they're doing about this stuff. Listen to those people.
Yeah. You gotta
reach
pay
out,
attention.
ask questions, and, sometimes you will need to stretch when something is hurting. Sometimes it's a really bad idea to stretch something that just got hurt.
Right.
And it's tough to know the difference sometimes, right?
Right.
So, reaching out to those people and listening to the advice of people that know this kind of stuff and being proactive about it, right? That's going to keep you from getting knocked off the field more than you have to.
Absolutely. 100% all the time. It makes total sense. And don't be a know-it-all.
Yeah.
Right. Or don't think that you do. Right. Yeah. It's okay to listen. And it kind of goes back to a lot of the other rules that we were, life, like drum corps hacks, whatever you want to call them, that we've been laying out, is that you really need to be humble in your approach to every single one of these things, and realize that there's things to learn, as you go through that whole thing. So we're down to number 9. And I think this one kind of doesn't really culminate everything, but
a lot of the mental stuff we've been talking about,
a lot of the
especially,
mental stuff, it's the light switch idea, right? And if you don't know what that is out there in the regular world, listening world out there, it's the idea that you can make a choice in a moment to go, I am turned on, I am ready to go, and I am
focused,
hyper focused, and every bit of my energy and effort and mental game is being completely lasered focused at what I'm getting ready to do, right? Turn that on. But then conversely, you've got to be prepared to turn it off, because you can't stay on the whole time, right? It's like you have a limited amount of hours in the day where you can live in that space, right? So you have to be able to turn off your brain a little bit. Lou said that to me I think it was in 22 or 23. He was talking like Lou does in ways that nobody understands, except for me. And he was talking about the idea of, at practice, when it's hot and it is like you're just dead.
It's a drain.
Yeah, you're at the point where you're in a 1,000-yard stare and you don't know what to do. You've got to know that you can turn a light switch on for the rep, and then as soon as the rep is over, the light switch is like half off. You're turned off to the point where you can kind of relax your mind, but your ears are still listening to instruction or whatever else is going on. And as soon as that word set comes out, you're back on again, right? So that you can manage that energy level as you're going through there, right? And Connor talked a lot about that, in his interview with us, which was, they get all that time off and they get all that time to kind of rest, because when they're on the field, they're on the field, ready to go, right? And that's the mark of an intelligent and productive and professional organization. You know, if you want to be out there and be professional, because that's what drum corps a lot of it is about being professionals on the field. If you want to do that, then you've got to learn how to do that. You know, 100%.
And that's such a big thing that almost every corps, I would think, talks about that, right? They talk about the light switch. Learn how to do that. Learn how to be like, this is the time to be focused, and this is the time, to mess around and relax and talk with my friends, right?
Right.
Because we all want to talk with our friends.
Right? Relationships, right? We want to have a good time.
And it's what helps you get through it, right?
Right.
But knowing, having that capacity to be like, as soon as this word said, right, like you said, as soon as set is called, right? Or like, I'm hanging out with my friends. We're about to go to ensemble. Ensemble's got to run smoothly. It's like, this is not a time for talking and chatting and doing everything.
Yeah, for being loose. Understanding those moments. And I think it's important for staff too to realize that there's time when we have to be turned off, right? There's a time when it's the whole jug argument. You know what I mean? Like great. My 8 seconds of gush and go that I get should not be a time when I am mentally engaged and having to do these minutiae and details in that moment. Yeah. Because I need to relax the mind for a few moments so that I can be fully engaged when necessary. But, I don't mean necessarily during practice, but I think a lot of times, we have not recently, but in the past, I've been with organizations that were like, we're at lunch and they're just barking orders at lunch. Calm down, man.
Lunches are getting better, dude. What do you mean?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like, what are you doing? I need this time. I need to recover because, oh, great. We're going to try and get an extra 15 minutes of practice in. So you're going to give me a 45-minute lunch. You're going to get an hour of garbage time out of me because I'm not recovered because I don't have that kind of time. And I know how to turn a switch on better than anybody. And it's tough. It's hard. You need that recovery time. So you need to understand how to turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah.
Right.
We did a cool thing in Blue Knights. It was like semifinals or prelims day or something. And it gave me an idea for something to try. If you're having trouble figuring out how to turn the switch on, right? How to stay focused. I get it. It's hard for me to stay focused sometimes. Yeah. We've all got ADD these days.
Yeah, right.
But and so I get it. It's tough to remember how to focus.
Right.
I would implore you to do maybe not a whole block, but even just like an hour, right? If you're at rehearsal, you're trying to learn how to flip the switch on. Have like a set time where you're like, I'm not going to talk this whole time, right? We had a block at Blue Knights when we got to ensemble one day, and our caption head was like, "We're going to try something." It's like, this next block is going to be like a no talking block. Just try it out, right? You go to set, you have you get to field time, you get a little time to talk. They're like, just stay at standby, just focus on you, right? Don't talk to anyone. I think we may have pissed the color guard off a little bit because they would try and talk to us and we would just be like, and stare straight ahead.
Right.
And they thought that we were mad at them.
Right.
But it was, I wouldn't want to do it every rehearsal, but it was a really cool, eye-opening sort of experience because I was like, I remember doing it being like, I feel locked in right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap.
It's easier too.
Yeah.
When you're just.
Yeah. So I was, I like, give it a try.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously don't be like an aloof prick to the people that are around you, but give it a try, right? Even just at 1 hour, you're in an afternoon block and you're like, all right, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. today, right? If I got to watch on you, ask what time it's like, I'm just going to try it out, right?
Yeah.
No talking block. I'm not going to worry about like messing around with my friends that are on here. Like, I'm just going to focus on the staff and their instructions and my rep and my responsibilities, right? It's a cool experience, right? It's like, it's like trying to spend a whole day without your phone. Like, you don't realize that you can retrain your brain to think in certain ways and to be focused on certain things.
It's almost like an out of body experience a little bit.
Yeah.
It's very
you've got
trippy.
So much time to like self-reflect because it's all you can really do, and to know, you notice things. You notice things you didn't notice before because instead of talking, you're just, you're standing there at field and you can look around, like you can see, another section's getting talked to. You can see what they're doing over there. You can see what people are like, people are practicing on their own, what the staff is doing. It's cool. It's a really cool experience to try. And I would implore anyone to give it a shot, right? Yeah. If you can do it for a full block, then go for it, right? But if you feel like you can't, 1 hour, 2 hour chunk, right? Just try it out.
Yeah. Try in between water breaks.
Yeah. Because I think it will help you then feel what that mentality is like and help you switch into it so that you don't have to just limit, you don't have to force yourself to do it for an hour or for a whole block, and you can just flip back and forth between the two settings.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a great way to bring us to our last thing, which we don't know about yet, but it's
the secret 10th one.
The secret 10th way. And I think I leave it a secret because it's the most important thing to surviving drum corps and the activity that we do is you absolutely, and I already said it once before in this list, you absolutely have to love it. You have got to remember in every moment that you are frustrated, remember in every moment that you are preparing, remember in every moment that you are training, that this is something that you love doing, right? And because it sucks sometimes, right? And I'd even implore you, if you're young out there and you're in new relationships and you're falling in love for the first time, right? Is that most of the time it's 50-50. You're going to be in a great place and half the time it's going to suck because you're fighting with your whatever, and, being in love, it's hard. It's hard, right? Just like a relationship you're with somebody, being in love with somebody is difficult. Being in love with drum corps is difficult too. But if you just remember
it's work,
it's work, and if you just remember that you love it and that this is it, man. Like you only get so many days in life to love and do the things that you want to do. You're in the middle of doing it. Why are you so angry, right? Why are you so upset right now? Like if you can just take a deep breath with patience, right? Remember all the prep that you did, remember all the energy that you put into things, and go, I love being here and doing this. And that's enough for me. If you can do that at least once a day, you'll have the greatest seasons and the greatest experiences you'll ever have in your entire life.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, I'll give you $1. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, because I can say that because you will, I promise.
Yeah. I got 2 anecdotes. I got first, for weekend band, this is more related, because we have the whole week to forget about things, right? Almost every time that I'm driving to rehearsal on Friday or in the mornings even, I listen to drum corps.
Yeah.
I listen to it because I go, right? I listen to shows that I love or something that I haven't seen before because it reminds me of why I do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I love the art that we make, right? I love the productions that we make. I love that they get to endure and that we get to enjoy it afterwards. Right. Listening to that and being like, this is so cool. And this is what I'm doing right now. This is what I'm heading to do right now. Right. Gets me in that mindset of like, let's work hard. Let's make one of these products that we love listening to. Right. How many people from Bucks last year talk about how many times they watched the show last year?
Yeah.
And it, but it's great. It's healthy, right? It reminds you of the thing that you're making, right? That you're working towards.
Yeah.
And for the tour side of it, I remember having this thought. We're in the middle of spring training, Spring training is like 30 days long these days. It's a month of your life that you're doing nothing but drum corps.
Right.
I remember being on day who even knows? It was between days 10 and 20, probably.
Mid-year, mid-month.
I remember walking back and being like so tired and being like, I've been doing this just for 2 weeks.
Right.
I've been doing this for 2 weeks. This has been my entire life. I'm so tired of it. I remember having a moment of being like, I'm like, this is what I love. This is like, it sucks right now.
Right.
But how lucky am I that I get to be doing this for like 60 more days, right?
Yeah.
I get to be doing this thing that's hard work, but I love it. And I'm with people that I care about. I'm like, I'm not gonna fester in the negative right now.
Yeah.
Because in 61 days, I'm not going to be here anymore. Right. I'm not going to get to be doing this.
Limited time.
In a few days, the season's going to be over. And I'm going to wish that I had taken those moments to appreciate it when I did.
Yeah.
So I made sure to be like, this sucks and I'm working hard right now, but also it doesn't. Also, it's amazing. I get to be doing this thing that I love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that rounds out our list. I think it's the most important thing on the bottom there.
Because if you do that, everything else will come easier.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
All the mental stuff, all the physical things, right? When you have to work hard at that, all that stuff will come easier if you remember that, this is an activity of passion.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
We freaking pay to be here. It has to be.
Yes, it has to be, right? Yeah.
You have to love what you're doing or else you're just throwing money down the drain.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And time.
Yeah. Right? I think it's so important. So, it's a great way to kind of wrap everything up. This is a good long episode. To kind of go back over our 10 rules, just one more time, your preparations, your physical, your skill, and your mental preparation. That's all kind of beforehand.
Do the work up front.
Do the work up front, which is the research. Number 4. Number 5, prepare yourself with all your fun gear. Because honestly, that's kind of the fun.
Get your stuff look around at what stuff you need.
Yeah.
Get a good bed that's easy to set up.
Oh my God. Yeah.
If you're going on tour, ease of setup is almost more important than comfort of the actual bed.
You got to set everything up before you go on tour. Don't wait till you get there. Right.
Yeah.
Build those relationships, have patience as you move through everything. Remember that maintenance is so important. Maintenance of your equipment, maintenance of yourself, maintenance of, all the things that are around you, your horn, your bed, make sure you have a good, reliable bed. And then all of that will lead you to figuring out how to turn that light switch on and off. And then the last thing, which really is the focus of the other 9, is just learn how to love it. Learn how to really live in it and love it the best that you can.
Yeah. Fall in love and remember that, this is an activity that you love. Yeah. That you're here doing this because you want to. Right.
And if you're doing DCI World, you only get a couple more. You only get a couple of years, really.
Yeah.
You only get a few years and then it's gone. Right.
Yeah.
From somebody who missed out on it, it sucks. It's a hard thing.
Yeah.
So that wraps everything up. As always, we love to hear what you have to think about our list. If there's things that we missed that you think should be added onto our list, or maybe some other things you want to expand upon, there's a lot of really great comments in a lot of our videos already. We definitely go down. I comment on everything that everybody.
Yeah, I read every comment.
Yep.
Right.
Robbie and I both look at everything. We respond to everything. We love the interaction. Get down there, subscribe. I cannot subscribe more, but we just want more people to just
subscribe and share it. Right, share it. Send it to your friends.
Yes.
Make a post. Every time we've seen one of our friends post on social media, it's amazing because it means a lot to see that they like what we're making, and B, it gets the word out there, right?
Yeah.
We want this, we talked about giving back. The most that we can do to give back is if more people see this and more people can hear things we're saying, right? And getting that advice out there.
Yep.
And then eventually, hopefully, getting some scholarship money out there, right?
We just want to give money away.
The more,
Professor Moneybags out here just throwing money at people. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So that's all for us. Thanks again for watching. We appreciate it.
So off cycle.